Aching, throbbing, grinding, and burning knees are pretty common in Tai Chi. And a lot of beginners worry that Tai Chi might be bad for their knees, or at least dangerous. But I've got good news. Tai Chi is probably one of the best things you could do for your knees and all your joints. And if you'd like to find out how, stick around, because I'm going to teach you all about Tai Chi for joint health in this lesson. Hi everybody, it's David-Dorian Ross, and welcome to another episode of Learn Tai Chi at Home. It's day number 56 of 100 Days of Tai Chi, which is the video series where you're learning the 103 movements of the traditional Yang family long form. Now, if this is your first time here and you're a beginner who'd like to learn how to do Tai Chi at home, and in particular, if you're interested how Tai Chi can give you better health, stay younger longer, bring you calm and happiness on the inside, and even protect yourself from attackers, then all you have to do to get started is just hit the subscribe and bell icons and you'll never miss another lesson. Also, if this is your first time here and here we are almost in the middle, I'm going to put a link right up here to the beginning of the playlist so you can go back to the beginning and catch up and you won't feel lost at all. In this video lesson, I want to talk about a question which is very common in Tai Chi, and that is Tai Chi good or bad for your knees? And I've got an answer that might surprise you. In the movement section of today's lesson, I've got a brand new movement, one that we haven't done before in this routine. It's called The Fair Lady Works at Shuttles, also known as The Immortal Attendant Serves the Wine. It's a beautiful name. Anyway, it's a combination of a lot of pieces of other movements that we've learned so far. So this is kind of a good test to see how well you've studied those other lessons. But no pressure, right? All right, if you're ready, let's just jump in and talk about Tai Chi for knee health. Today's viewer question of the day comes from Lisa Vass, who asks, in other Tai Chi sources, I've heard it said that you should never let the knee extend out past the toes. Now, is that a hard rule? Now, this is actually a really good question, Lisa, because it comes up a lot. And usually it's tied to protecting the knees from injury or pain. So I've got an answer that's going to try to cover the whole broad spectrum. And I'm going to give the answer in two parts. So make sure you watch all the way to the end to get the full answer, okay? So first things first, let me just say there are no hard rules in Tai Chi, right? What we have are principles. And here the difference between a rule and a principle is this. A rule says this is the way it's supposed to be done, and it's always done this way, and if you don't do it this way, it's wrong. This is the way it's not supposed to be done, and if you do it that way, it's bad. A principle, on the other hand, says if you do this way, this is the result that you're going to get. But if you do this that way, that's the result you're going to get. Now, you get to choose which way you go. So let's apply this to the situation of the knee going out over the top of the toe. Now, if you're standing in a lunge position with the knee extended way out over the toe, you're in such a vulnerable position with your center of gravity so far forward that it actually would be easy to knock you over. Moreover, with the knee extended out so far, the connective tissue around the knee are already in a pretty stretched position. So any additional weight or lateral force, even your own body weight, could cause those connective tissues to stretch or even rip and tear. So it just stands to reason very logically that you don't want the knee to be this far forward, you want the knee to be back a little bit. But the real question is, why do people have the knee so far forward over the toes in the first place? Well, the answer is that in some way they're trying to get closer to their target, whether they're doing Tai Chi sparring or whether they're just trying to create a position. They're trying to move their upper body closer to that position. And so they wind up seeing the only way that they can get closer is to bend the knee farther forward. But there is another way. It's called using the qua. Qua is a Chinese word meaning the hip joint right here. And when people are in the position where their knee is so far out over the toe, one of the things I can tell is that they're not using the qua. They're not using the hip joint. The hip joint The Kwa is a fundamental concept and operational unit in Tai Chi, and it's supposed to be continuously in action, opening and closing all the time. When the knee is far forward, what I can see is the Kwa is not active. So let's take a look and see what happens when I try to get my body closer to a target without activating the Kwa. Right? The knee bends more, and I have to let the knee go forward, tracking over the toe this way. Now what I'm going to do is try to find those small muscles and connective tissue inside the hip joint and ask them to turn on. And when that happens, the hip draws back in, right? It makes the hip close. It closes the Kwa. And as a result of that action, the knee draws back in. And it places itself in a very stable position and in the proper alignment with the toe. Even side to side, if I activate the Kwa, it draws the knee back into a position which is right in the middle, not out to the outside, not out to the inside, not forward over the toes, not too far back, just in the right position. That is what you get when you activate the Kwa. Now, the second part of my answer has to do with energy flow. Now, I said in the beginning that knees that ache and throb and grind and burn are pretty common in people who do Tai Chi, but that's got nothing to do with the Tai Chi at all. In fact, those are the symptoms of arthritis, which is pretty common in everybody over the age of 55, whether you do Tai Chi or not. In point of fact, I don't know of any documented case of pain or common injury caused by Tai Chi itself. In fact, the opposite is true. One of the most well-researched benefits of Tai Chi practice is its anti-inflammatory effect, which reduces the pain and swelling of arthritis. Tai Chi does this better than any other form of exercise or therapy and most drugs as well. Now, according to Chinese medical theory, one of the reasons that Tai Chi practice reduces the pain and inflammation of arthritis is that it improves energy flow, because literally stuck Qi is the cause of the arthritis. And one of the ways that Tai Chi does this, improves energy flow, is through the continuous action of the Kwa. Through its constant opening and closing, is acting like a pump, sending Qi energy from the earth through the feet, through the legs, and then the knees, into the upper body, and then back down again through the legs and the knees and the feet into the earth again. So you see, the knees can actually be a great measurement about whether you're getting the most out of your Tai Chi practice. Because if the knees are in the right place, in the right alignment, it means you're properly using the Kwa. Lisa, thank you so much for this great question. If you've got a question about Tai Chi technique or about the health benefits of Tai Chi, I'd love to see if I could answer the question for you. So please, just write it down in the comments section. Now, stick around. Don't go anywhere, because we're going to learn a new movement called the Immortal Attendant Serves the Wine. Now, in this video lesson, we're going to be learning movement number 62 in the 103 movements of the Yang family long form. And it's a movement that is often translated as the fair lady works at shuttles. But this is a very interesting name, very interesting movement. First of all, the term fair lady in Chinese yunyu is actually a reference to the beautiful women who were said to populate the kingdom of heaven and serve the celestial emperor and all of the immortal gods of the Taoist pantheon. And one of their functions was to go around all of the gods at their banquet serving the elixir of immortality. So they literally went this way and this way, serving first this god, then that goddess, and so on and so on. So the movement is referencing this immortal attendant, the fair lady, the beautiful maiden, the celestial maiden. Now, the second part is a reference to the way that the movement looks. We often translate this as works at the shuttles, meaning like weaving at a loom, where you raise the bar of the loom and then push the shuttle through. Then on the other side, you raise the bar of the loom and push the shuttle through on the other side. And here you're going to see a movement that blocks and strikes and then blocks and strikes, right? And so we get this works at the shuttles, which doesn't mean driving a cab, just to let you know. It means opening and pushing. Now, this is actually a long movement. We're going to take 4 different sessions to go through this one movement because it has 4 different directions. It actually makes a big X on the pathway here. So we're going to come from the position we just left yesterday, which is single whip, and go into the first leg of the X. Then on the following lesson, we're going to go into the other leg of the X, then this leg, and finally back to that leg. Well, you'll see how it goes when we get there. But today, just the first leg. All right, so now that I've said for the past 2 or 3 episodes that I want to do more voiceover because it's easier to film and edit, on this particular movement, I'm definitely going to do live to the camera action here because there's so many pieces going on. So first things first, what we want to do is take a look at the footwork. So I'm beginning in a bow step at the end of single whip here, and there is a 135-degree turnaround, meaning my foot is oriented in this direction with this bow step, and at the end of the movement, I'm going to be going to this corner over here. Now in both cases, this is my left foot, so we're definitely going to do a camera flip here a little bit later. But take a look here at this footwork. So I'm standing in this bow step in this direction, and I'm going to empty out this left foot, sitting back on the right foot, and turning my waist towards the right. Turn, 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 turn. And really trying to crank that left toe in as much as possible. Now, if you're not flexible in the knee and ankle, and this begins to feel like that's too far a turn, a couple things can happen. Number one is that you can stop where you feel the end of the flexibility. And then when you shift back, you can actually readjust that foot some more. Now, let's take a look at that again. I'm going to sit back, turn towards the right, turn, 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 getting those toes all the way in, then sit back on the left foot. Now, this will allow the right foot to release and pivot on the ball of the foot here, and then you're going to step along the same line, right? You're going to step along the same line, you just pick up this foot and put it down again, but turn the toes to face along the lane. The hips and the footwork are going towards the corner, but the right toes are facing down the lane so that the left foot can step past it into a bow step in the corner, and you wind up with the relative position of the feet that the right foot, the back foot now is at 45 degrees relative to the front toe. In other words, you've got the right channel. It's just a long-winded way of saying you've got to step into a channel. Let's take a look at that one more time. Empty out the front foot, turn the waist all the way in, sit back onto the left foot, step down with the right, turning the toes out, step past it, landing heel first, shift in the corner, activate the quad, pull that in. Beautiful. Now let's take a look at the hands here. And I'm going to start off with just the left hand, the open palm from the end of parting of single whip here. As I sit back and begin to turn, it sweeps across the body and really kind of reaches all the way over into the corner. It's making its way closer and closer to the body, sort of closing in the shoulder joint here, all the way around. And then as I sit back onto the left foot again, the elbow bends and the hand comes into the chest. Right? This begins to be sort of a closing preparatory position. As I step down onto the right foot, it's actually going to cross under the right elbow and form itself into a ward-off arm. Now from here, the rest of the movement's pretty easy because it's really just the same as crane spreads wings. Remember I said this was a combination of a lot of different movements that we've already learned. And so here's a part of a movement we've already learned. Crane spreads wings, ward-off arm, rotates out, continues overhead, landing palm out, blocking and protecting the top of the head. Right? That's what this left hand is doing. All the way again from the end of single whip, it comes across the body, then gets a little closer to the chest, reaches through and underneath the right arm, then ward off arm, overhead. Beautiful. Let's take a look at the hook hand. The hook hand sort of floats, right, staying there in the corner as I sit back and turn. I'm actually getting closer. I'm not actively trying to close this shoulder joint, but it happens if I just leave the hook where it was. As I sit back onto the left foot, the hook opens and turns the hand palm up, right? Stepping down with the right foot, right? I cross under. Here it closes a little bit more. And then as I step out onto the left foot, this right hand withdraws. The elbow melts down, the hand coming into the chest, right? Pulling right in there. And this will be about the time that I've got the left hand in the ward-off position. Now from here, I'm going to shift down into the final lunge. The left hand goes overhead and the right hand begins to extend forward, rotating palm out and pushing in the corner, right? Here is the loom going up and the bobbin going through, right? Lifting, pushing. Or as I used to say to all my students when I taught class in Hawaii, open the window and steal the pie. One more time, let's take a look at the two hands, right? From the end of the single whip, I'm turning towards the right, turn. The hook opens, right? The left hand comes back in, then they cross. The right hand withdraws in the chest as the ward-off arm begins to go. The ward-off arm continues to go, and I reach through with the right palm strike. And of course, all of this action of the feet and the hands are bound together by the torso, by the turning of the waist. And there's an awful lot of waist turn happening here in this movement. It turns right, then left, then right, then left again. So from the end of the single whip, it turns strongly to the right, turning all the way around. That drags that foot in to its new position here. Then I let it turn back to the left again as I sit back onto the left foot. The right foot comes down and I turn the waist towards the left again. I'm actually squaring up my torso to face down the lane, but the head from this point on is going to look over the shoulder. So now I've got my right foot stepping out, my head's looking in the direction of the corner while my body is still squared off towards the lane, right? But by this time I'm ready to ready to shift into the bow step, and here the waist turns back to the left again. One more time, let's take a look at how all of this looks together. All right, so today's question of the day for you is a variation on a common Chinese greeting, Ni Shen Ti Hao, which strictly translated means, how's your body? Although it more or less means, how are you? Are you healthy? See, we've all got aches and pains and little idiosyncrasies and little things that we accumulate as we get older. And my question of the day for you is, what's yours? Got any special pains or hitches in your get along? I'd like to know, because maybe I've got a Tai Chi remedy for you. Anyway, if you're willing to share, please write it down in the comment section below. And all right, there, we've done it. We've come to the end of another lesson. This was a long one. We had so many things to cover. And I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed every single minute of it. And if you did enjoy it, do me a favor and hit that thumbs up like button. It not only sends a good message to YouTube, but it lets me know whether or not I'm doing a good job. So I really appreciate it when you do that. You can hit the thumbs down button too, by the way. I'm perfectly fine with that, because again, it teaches me something that I need to know about whether the lessons are going in the right direction. And I want them to. And if you say to me, no, that didn't go in the right direction, then I can do the next one better. Now then, if this is your first time here, and after watching this lesson you go, maybe I could learn Tai Chi at home, then all you've got to do to get started is just hit that subscribe button, and I'd love to work with you, and there's plenty more lessons where this one came from. Now, in tomorrow's video, just for those of you who have watched this far and are keeping track, we're not going to learn a new lesson. Tomorrow's a big day. I'm actually traveling to Los Angeles to go to the dentist, so I won't have time to make a new lesson. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to have one of those short lessons that people have been asking for, a recap of some of the tips and drills, and in particular the one about dropping the tailbone versus tucking the tailbone. We had a very good question about, so how do you not tuck? What's the wrong way to do that? So we're going to cover that in tomorrow's video. And last but certainly not least, I just want to say thank you once again. Thank you for the opportunity to let me share my Tai Chi with you. I really appreciate it. Have a wonderful evening, a great morning, and I'll see you in the next lesson.